Okay, I don't know if anyone will ever watch my videos, but I'm going to keep making them because they need to be made. This video is about standards. Standards in the United Kingdom. Now, when I grew up, you could rely upon the standards of products that you would buy. There was a standard of respect that service and product providers and producers displayed toward the customer. And when my country's military and the United States' military were hijacked and used to extend globalist ambition through intervention in the Middle East in the early 2000s, the ethos of it doesn't matter what the population think, what we, whoever it is, want to do will be done, and you'll damn well like it. That crept into everything, and the whole notion of respect for the customer, for the general population, evaporated. And a wall went up that wasn't there before. A wall went up between the people and those who had hijacked our states, our governments. And a wall went up between the people and those who provided services, because those who have hijacked our governments needed to try and get as many other big institutions on board as possible. So they did things like suddenly everyone in any public institution was a hero, yeah, to try and align every single large public institution or government institution with military aspirations. Every soldier was suddenly a hero, which is not true. Not every soldier is a hero. Only someone who risks their life to save someone else is a hero. That's it. A doctor is not a hero. A doctor can be a fine person who saves someone's life, but unless they are risking their own to do it, they're just doing their job. And any doctor would tell you the same. In fact, even a soldier who goes out of his way to risk his life for someone else will never call themselves a hero. But the point is, they're not the same thing. Heroism means you put your life on the line. If you haven't put your life on the line, you're not a hero. Saving someone's life through action isn't heroism unless you're at risk. If you run into a burning building to save a life, you're a hero. If that building is going to collapse, yeah, and you are potentially going to die, you're a hero. Definitely, 100%. A fireman who, as part of his job, does that is acting heroically, yes. But a fireman who just goes into a situation he's highly trained to deal with and he knows he's going to come out of, which other people would see as dangerous, is just doing his job. And I'm sure he would tell you that as well. But everyone was suddenly a hero, from a dentist to a ticket conductor. All of a sudden, everyone was a hero, to try and align these people with the illegal acts that were going on in the Middle East. So everything was turned against the public. This imaginary wall went up, but it wasn't there before. People were happy to be people. If you happened to work in an institution, you did so. You served the public, and there was that level of respect that you would expect as a member of the public. It's an act, so to speak, but it worked. And then came the idea that, oh, if you work in any occupation, you're entitled to be respected. So the idea was to try and shut people up in general. Okay, this notion of people being abusive, so to speak, is nonsense. It's nonsense. My first job I was working with the public as a youngster, and I was taught, look, if you have a customer who is extraordinarily angry, all you've got to do is placate them. You don't say, you can't talk to me like that. If you have an issue, you can say, one moment, sir, I'll just bring over the manager for you. You don't go into conflict with them and say, you can't talk to me like that, or turn your back on them. But that attitude was instilled in every industry, not accidentally, but intentionally, to try and protect the people who were conducting this hijack of our nations. And this has been going on since the early 2000s, when the people who had been planning this for a long time put it into effect. And that's why you can't rely on standards anymore. Nothing you buy is as you expect it to be, or as it used to be. You know, you will buy things now and they're faulty and flawed because there's no respect anymore. Because companies are like, well, we don't have to listen to the customer anymore. We'll just do what we want, because that's the ethic that filtered down from the crooks who hoodwinked our entire society and took over our institutions. Look at the government in Britain right now. So it's a mess. They can't get anything done. They don't make any decisions. Anyone with any backbone is gotten rid of. So we don't have a country at the moment. Now that's a bit of a problem. That's a bit of a problem. And people are becoming very, very aware of it. And the people who have conducted this crime are coming to the end of their party. Now they're not stupid. They've made plans. But their plans are pretty ropey. Because all they can do is exploit weakness. So their plans are basically keep doubling down until the end of time. What they don't account for is the inherent strength of people. They only focus on the weak, on the weaknesses, which is how they're going to come unstuck. And it's pretty sad watching it, but it's actually a good opportunity, because we can fix everything. Once you see that the robbery has taken place, yeah, you have to observe. It's unfortunate. But once you observe it, then you can begin to repair the damage. And that's where we are now. The robbery has taken place, yeah. Some people put in a lot of planning and effort, and they robbed from the store. And we have to regroup, we have to take stock of what's left and rebuild. That's where we are right now in Britain. People don't realise quite how bad things are. They are shockingly bad. You can see it all around you. And one of the techniques that these people have to try and hide what they've done is to try and make the surroundings so bleak looking and paint that as the norm, and indeed try to make it appealing in a strange way so as to hide people from the fact. But people with half a brain can see it. That is, anyone with over half a brain. People who actually think for themselves can see it. I see it. And it's going to be fixed. And it's just part of life. Some people are devoted to destruction, and some people are devoted to building things, creating things, positivity, courage, that kind of thing. So as much as I can complain that I've grown up in this period of time, I also see it as a fabulous opportunity, and it's a blessing, because it enables me and allows me to be my best. Although I would have been my best anyway, this is a great opportunity to really do good. So The purpose of this video is to highlight what's really going on and to help people to understand why standards aren't as they used to be. People are being demoralised left, right and centre. There is a campaign of demoralisation going on which is very subtle, but if you actually look at it, you know, with a greater perspective, you can see it's enormous. The idea is to chip away at people's esteem, chip away at people's feeling of personal power, chip away at people's feeling of decency by surrounding them with negativity. If you were a person who was on a trajectory to greatness, strength, positivity, optimism and creativity, you would surround yourself with such imagery. You would surround yourself with such inspirational things. We are surrounded at the moment with visions of weakness, visions of depravity, visions of poor health. Suddenly people are being diagnosed left, right and centre with all manner of conditions, right? They don't have these conditions. The number of people I've met in the last year who say, well, I've got this autism, see, is ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. It's not true. It's not true. Autism is a very specific condition. Oh, well, there's a spectrum. No. Yes, there are certain degrees of it, but autism is a very specific condition, as is Asperger's. The number of people who are being diagnosed nowadays with such conditions has risen by a factor, it must be a factor of 50. It's insane, and it's to try and undermine people's confidence in themselves. Sure, some people have those conditions, right, fine. But I would argue that 80% of the people who are being diagnosed with it nowadays don't have it. I would stand by that assertion, because that's what I see. I see ordinary people who I would speak to any day of the week who are being diagnosed with such and such, and they don't have these conditions. I know it, because I've met people who have Asperger's, and I know exactly how they come across. Exactly how they come across. Oh, well, so there have always been people who are ever so slightly eccentric. That's not the same as Asperger's. Asperger's is a very specific condition. People who suffer with Asperger's have a complete blind spot when it comes to social, the understanding of the subtleties of social interaction. They're not just slightly socially awkward. There's a difference, and if you know what you're looking for, you can see it very quickly. But a lot of people are being diagnosed with this thing now that don't have it, and I think doctors are being encouraged to diagnose people left, right and centre with this nonsense. Sure, it exists, but calling people autistic harms their feeling of being up to the task. Oh, well, you know, I've got this. No. No. It's a campaign of demoralisation, just as in the media. And it's being perpetrated from at top level by people who have an interest in undermining the social fabric and the strength of the self-belief of the people in our nation. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. It will be stopped. So, standards are dropping. Respect has gone out the window. But it's not accidental. It's to cover up a big lie, a big mess. And it must be fixed now. And it's up to us to fix it. Yeah, there are scoundrels. But there are also good folk. So we're going to fix this.